Tajikistan is a Central Asian nation with a population of approximately 8.6 million people. Formerly a constituent republic of the Soviet Union, it gained its independence in 1991. A majority Muslim nation, Islam penetrated today's Tajikistan in the second half of the 7th century. The first Tajik state, the Samanid Empire, declared Islam as its official religion. During the Soviet era, all political institutions and processes were secular in nature. Islam, however, remained resistant to the increasing secularization of state institutions and remained as a source of identity, a cultural vehicle, and a way of life. Between 1920 and 1927, the secular state was noted as having tolerated Islamic schools and Sharia courts. By 1928, this attitude changed radically, with the population witnessing attacks on religious practices, which were outlawed, and mosques being closed. The official stance on religion eventually eased, and by the 1970s and 1980s, Islam was accommodated as an integral part of private life, where the public realm remained staunchly secular. The post-war Soviet regime no longer viewed Islam as a threat to the state for two reasons. Firstly, all official practices of the religion were closely monitored and regulated, with all mosques registered with a Council for Religious Affairs. Secondly, Islam in Tajikistan was considered too apolitical without the organization structure to rally believers against the Soviet regime. Today, approximately 95% of Tajiks are Sunnis of the Hanafi school of religious law, with a small minority following the Shia branch of Ismailism. Sufism also has strong historical roots within Tajikistan, particularly the Naqshbandi order.
The current constitution of Tajikistan is its first non-Soviet constitution and has supreme judicial force. It was not subject to public debate and was drafted by a committee led by Abumajid Dostiev, who previously served in the Soviet army. The constitution establishes the Republic of Tajikistan as a sovereign, democratic and secular state, and thus institutionally detached from Islam. The commitment to secular governments, detailed within the first article, embodies modern Tajikistan's emphasis on having Islamic institutions isolated from positions of authority. Despite allowing freedom of religion, certain Muslim practices such as polygamy are constitutionally banned. The constitution specifically forbids religious organizations from interfering with state affairs and running on religious platforms. This rule influenced the banning of the Islamic Renaissance Party of Tajikistan, which was previously the only religiously affiliated Tajik party in parliament. The constitution establishes that the secular status of the state is unchangeable, obscuring future change towards Islamic integration into public systems.
In a number of recent cases, the European Court of Human Rights expressed concerns about the dire situation of the criminal justice system in Tajikistan, the use of torture and ill-treatment techniques by law enforcement agencies, severe conditions in detention facilities, the systematic persecution of political opposition, and the harsh treatment of certain religious groups. Let's have a look at a couple of these concerns more closely. Tajikistan is a signatory of the ICCPR and ICAT. The legal system ostensibly prioritizes international law. For example, the Code of Criminal Procedure expressly states that international treaties shall prevail in cases of conflict. So on the face of it, Tajikistan's criminal laws are compliant with international human rights norms. However, in practice, torture is commonly used by law enforcement agencies, and the system is unable to remedy serious breaches of human rights. For example, in 2016, there were 57 cases of men, women, and children who were allegedly subjected to torture or ill treatment in pre- and post-trial facilities. The Constitution entrenches a citizen's right to religious freedom. However, it does not prevent the government from regulating religious activities. Indeed, an amendment to the Constitution passed in May 2016 bans political parties based on religion. In an attempt to curtail Islamic extremism, recent legislation heavily regulates religious practice, and the US Department of State has expressed concerns about the apparent intention to control all aspects of religious life in the country. For example, the law restricts Islamic prayer to specific locations and prohibits persons under the age of 18 from participating in public religious activities. There are also reports that the government is enforcing traditional Tajik dress standards and prohibits dress associated with more extreme forms of Islam.
The fact that Tajikistan is a constitutionally secular country while almost the entire population identify as Muslim has created much tension and controversy within the country. In the government's effort to suppress Islamic activity, Muslims within the country have been subjected to varying forms and degrees of oppression. In 2011, the government passed a law called the Parental Responsibility Law, of which Article 8 states that parents are obliged not to let children, teenagers, participate in the activity of religious organizations. This effectively denies Muslim children of fundamental practices such as attending mosques for Friday prayers. The banning of Arabic-sounding names such as Sumaya, Aisha, Muhammad and Yusuf has also found government support on the basis that these foreign names have contributed to division within society. Other Islamic features dubbed by the government as foreign include the hijab, and not surprisingly has also been targeted. In 2005, an education ministry decree has prohibited women from wearing the hijab while attending schools and universities due to it not being recognized as national cultural tradition. Though outside of education there aren't currently any laws prohibiting women from wearing the hijab, there has nevertheless been a push by the state to discourage their use. By 2016, about 160 stores selling hijabs have been forced to close, and many women have reported to being harassed and threatened by authorities to wear their headscarves in the traditional Tajik way or face a fine. Muslim men aren't excluded either, and in 2016, approximately 13,000 men were forced to shave their beards. The reason behind the Tajik government's actions is their fear of radical Islam spreading within the country. Though in spite of this, there has also been much concern over the repressive activities of the government having the very opposite effect on its well-rooted Muslim population.
The best source for data on Tajikistan is the Statistical Agency, which is the authoritative and central statistical office of the country. It is responsible for population censuses, household surveys, demographic statistics, and a wide range of economic statistics. The Socio-Economic Situation Report is published monthly and available to the public on the 12th day of the month following the accounting period.
The Constitution of Tajikistan and the peer-reviewed Journal of Persianate Studies are helpful sources when analysing Tajikistan's constitution.
Reputable and independent non-governmental organisations, such as Freedom House and the Coalition Against Torture in Tajikistan, have recently published comprehensive country reports that assess the observance of human rights in Tajikistan. The United States Department of State also regularly publishes country reports, which assess a state's compliance with international law. The most recent report on Tajikistan was published in 2016.
The best sources for learning about interesting features in regards to Islam in Tajikistan are trusted media outlets, as there seems to be a lack of scholarly sources relating to this topic.